you for joining today's press conference with Vice President, Director of Athletics, Jack Swarbrick, and Notre Dame Head Coach, Mike Brey. Obviously, you've seen the release on our website, and Mike Brey has agreed to a 10-year contract extension that will take him through the 2021-2022 season here at Notre Dame. So what we're going to do, first off, for those of you on the line, we're just going to have Jack Swarbrick and Mike make some opening remarks, and then we're going to open it up to questions for those that are here in person. And then if any of you have follow-up questions on the line, we'll take that at the end of the press conference. So Jack, if you'd like to start, please.
Thanks, Bernie. Thanks to all of you for being here. We did a great job keeping this quiet until the press conference today. No, we're thrilled that as the news got out, the sort of reaction we've gotten to this announcement. You know, before I came here, I spent a lot of time working in the college basketball community on a number of projects for the NCAA. And I was struck during that work about how people talked about Mike Brey. You always heard them talk in terms of he's the best guy in the business, or his values are unbelievable. And coming here and having that reaffirmed as I built a relationship with him was rewarding but not a surprise. That he is all of those things. He is a guy who represents the best of college basketball and embraces the values of this place. What I didn't know was what a great coach he was. And that's been one of the real pleasures of this 4 years for me working with him. If ever there's been a coach who embraces the old Bum Phillips line, that he can take his'n and beat urine, and he can take urine and beat his'n, it's Mike. His ability to develop talent, to teach the game, and to play it in the way we want to play it. It's a team game. It's a game that involves caring about your teammates, sharing, having a certain ethic about the way you approach the game, is what he does as well as anybody in the country. We like to use the phrase coach-educator as the corollary to student-athlete. Well, Mike epitomizes the coach-educator. And so it is a thrill for me to have been able to work through a process that ensures for the next decade, an amount of time significantly longer than the career expectancy of any AD, that Mike will be the head coach and continue to lead this program and lead the nation in building young men. So Mike, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. You know, a lot of reflection the last couple of days on my 12 years, and I thought back to the press conference I had here 12 years ago in July, and one of the first questions I got from Tony Giannetti in Chicago, and I didn't know who anybody was at that time, my first day, was, well, Coach, how long do you plan on staying? Again, I replaced a coach that had only been here 1 year, and I was really knocked back, and I thought to myself, and I answered it, I said, you know, this is the last stop if you handle it the right way. And you know, it's looking more like we've handled it the right way, and I'm honored and thrilled that this can be the last stop. Again, on a daily basis, even 12 years into this thing, I am very honored and humbled to coach at this very special place. You know, it's very fitting that I've got some players here. You know, guys at different, you know, Chris Thomas sits out here, and Chris was here in the early days when we were trying to get it going and earn some respect and, you know, special relationships with him. Torrey Jackson's here, a guy who came at another time when we needed to get back to the NCAA tournament, and he delivered and led. Martin Inglesby on my staff is sitting back there. All my point guards are in here, just about all of them. And Martin was the steady hand in my rookie year that, you know, kept the place sane. And Scott Martin, it's fitting to have him a current player and a senior and a captain. All those guys, really deep relationships with, which is why I've never wanted to coach anywhere else. It's the kind of young men you get to work with here and the relationships you build. Jaron Grant is here, and we're in the process of building a deeper relationship as he's a young player in our program. I remember Jay Billis saying to me once 2 years ago, he was at a shoot around, and after he interacted with our guys, And our guys are unbelievable ambassadors for this university and our program. And he said to me walking off, he goes, you know what? You can have a beer with your guys after they graduate. And I said, you know, you're right. And I have after they've graduated. And those are the things that I think pull me the strongest to this place. I'm very thankful. Kevin White and Monk Malloy got me out here 12 years ago. Father John and Jack have been unbelievable in their commitment and support. All I know, this guy sitting next to me, we've been pretty good since he got here, so he ain't going anywhere. You know, it's been an amazing run. But again, I think when we got here, you were trying to survive the Big East. Now we're in a mode of thriving in the Big East. We've shifted gears, and I'm so excited about where we're at, our momentum, our position, and how we're thought of. I think to wrap it up, and then we'll take questions. The one thing that is really powerful to me is the basketball world, the basketball community really respects our program and how we do business. And I confidently say I don't think there's a program that's more respected than ours. There's a lot of really good programs. And that's something you're proud of. You know, we've got a great staff that's helped build this, great support here to help me do that. And I've got a great team and players. I got a great team and staff that helped me do it. So, you know, I'm excited. It's kind of good to know where you're going to be. Our business is this. I'm going back and forth. Is this tenure, or is this just staying a little further ahead of the posse? You know, I go back and forth. Maybe it's a little bit of both. But anyways, thrilled, honored, and really excited to keep working, and really excited about working with the group we have coming back. So we'll take questions, Bern.
Yes, questions please for both Jack and Mike.
Jack, you talked about how you knew of Mike before you got here, but once you got here, what did you see from Mike, or maybe a moment where you thought, you know what, he is the right fit here, he does fit at Notre Dame, and we need to keep him as our coach?
Yeah, as the coaches here will tell you, I like to be at practice. That's the classroom. It's hard to evaluate a coach on game day in most regards, but you can at practice. And I love the way he approached teaching the game at practice. It's not a lot of dramatics. It's not a lot of yelling, but it's really very clear instruction, very clear expectations. A lot is vested in the team. They've got to make it work. They've got to take ownership. And all of those were elements of being a great teacher for me. And so it really was the first few practices I attended as we built a relationship where I could see that.
Jack, when did you guys first start talking about this new deal, kind of getting together?
I'd say we talked about it last summer. We started discussing it. You know, it got up to the season, and you know, we didn't want to talk about it during the season, and I think we agreed, let's come back to it after the season. So we were kind of in slow burn mode, I guess you could say.
Mike, you get a deal like this, and it kind of reaffirms, at least from Notre Dame's position, that they think of you as one of the best in the country at what you do. How does that make you feel?
That's, you know, we talk about giving confidence to our players here in our program, and that's a theme, and I think we do a pretty darn good job of that. That gives me confidence as a coach. I think it makes you more fearless as a coach. You know, our profession is not the most secure, but when you know you have that kind of support, I think you want to go for it even more. And again, it's an honor. You know, a place like this. You know, the coaches that have come through, not just basketball, the coaches that have come through this university, to be committed to, like this university has to me, is it's kind of humbling, really. I thought about that a lot last night.
Mike, when you think about it, it almost like sort of bisects, 12 years, 10 years, in terms of where you've taken the program. How do you envision where you can take it from here?
Yeah, I think I go back, Brian, to that whole thriving theme. You know, when we got here, we hadn't been in the NCAA tournament in 10 years. We just need to get bids, and we need to get a couple bids in a row to look like we belonged again, and we did that. We hit our 3 NITs in a row, and we were searching again, and then we've got into another gear since then, and it's playing for a Big East championship, regular season, You've heard me say getting to Friday or Saturday night in the Garden, playing for the tournament championship. We've gotten to the semis a bunch. Playing deep into the NCAA tournament, going back to another Final Four. It's been a long time. And those are all things that I think, now that the groundwork's laid and we're thriving, we're in thrive mode, those are the goals. That's what we shoot for. And I know, Scott is out there and Jaron, that's exactly what they'll be talking about all summer.
You talked when you walked in here about staying here forever, but there were so many different dynamics going on with the program when you got here. When did you truly believe that it was a place after you were able to put out the fires and maybe stabilize everything?
Yeah, Tom, I think early, like 2-3 years in, again, it gets back to, I get back to the kind of guys I get to work with. We got 4 of them sitting here. I just felt this is the place you want to be, and keep dreaming big dreams and working and get it into another gear, which I think we've kicked it into another gear recently. But I'd say very, very early. I never had a thought, oh, God, what if that job opened, or, this was, and there's something about putting your name on a program. It's become my program now. I'm really proud of that. And you're associated with this place and how we play and our style of play and how we run our program. So it's hard to get it to that point. And once we started getting into that, I felt this is where you want to wind it down.
Mike, this deal should give you all the opportunity to pass Digger in the all-time wins list in Notre Dame. I'm sure that gives you great joy in thinking about that.
You sure you won't kidnap me the week before that game if I make it that long? One thing about Digger, and I know he's out of the country right now, he's been really a good friend. When I got here, he was a little bit distant from the program. We've got him back around the program. And he's been very helpful. The one thing about him, he's the only guy that sat in the seat I'm sitting in. So, not that I take all his advice, okay? But he has a lot of good thoughts, and I consider him a good friend.
Jeff, what do you see as the ceiling for the program? Mike's talking Final Fours, and assume you share the vision. How do you see the program evolve in the next few years?
Yeah, it is that. I mean, we're in business to win NCAA championships. And if I didn't think Mike Brey could win an NCAA championship in basketball, we wouldn't be sitting here today. I believe he can. I believe this program can. Mike's touched on the program word a lot, and that really is it. I mean, it is so hard to establish the culture of a successful collegiate program in any sport. And when you get it, and when you get it as right as this one is, you really want to embrace it. I mean, I would say to you, think about it across our industry. There are a lot of teams that are identified with a coach, but is there really a program? I mean, can you say this is the identity of this place? This is what they do. It's how they play. It's how they develop student athletes, and that's all here. In some ways, relative to winning a national championship, which is going to be our goal, Mike's done all the hard work. He just has to win 6 games in March now. The hard stuff is building the foundation, and we're the national champions in graduation rate in college basketball. We're teaching young men in extraordinary ways. We're competing in the best conference in basketball. We got all the hard stuff done. We'll go the last mile now.
Jack, last time a 10-year deal was given out around here, didn't work out too well. Any that crossed your mind at all in wanting to ink a deal like this?
No, you're only focused on this deal and this coach and this evaluation, and I have all the confidence in the world in Mike, and I think I saw Dickie V tweeted last night that Mike fit Notre Dame like a glove, and that's right. And when you find that, you want to make sure you maintain it and preserve it. He's the right guy for here. As an AD, you're always thinking to yourself, in every sport, if my coach left tomorrow, who would I hire? When I thought about that for Mike Brey, I was never had a list where I was as comfortable with anybody on it as I was with Mike. And so it just said to me, I really need to make sure that this guy stays with our program.
Keep that list a little further away now after this?
We burned it.
I burned mine too.
Mike, when you look at just sort of the trajectory you guys have had, 6 straight 20-win seasons, was there something you, I don't know, tweaked or changed or evolved in terms of your approach to maybe get it there, that you pinpoint a couple things to kind of continue it? You know, in the front?
Well, you know, I mentioned Torrey. You know, when Torrey and Luke showed up as freshmen, we had Colin Falls and Russ Carter as seniors. You know, that was a key year for us, key year for me. And, you know, I think we got a little tougher mentally and physically. I think those two freshmen really were a key to making us tougher at a time we needed to be. And since then, I think, you know, our recruiting has changed a little bit. We've probably gotten a little more athletic. If you've looked at, we've been able to get into that crop that's helped us. But, you know, the one thing that's been a constant, too, through those 6 years has been we've had great leadership. You know, again, we don't get the one and dones, but these 4 and 5 year guys, and sometimes 6 year guy, you know, those guys take the baton from who was before them and really lead. And I've had guys to help me sell my stuff in the locker room when I'm not around. There's nobody that does it better. You know, Chris Thomas did it, Torrey Jackson did it, Martin Inglesby did it, and Scott Martin is doing it like it's a clinic, what he does, you know. So I think leadership, we've had great leadership that way. So I think those would be some of the keys.
Mike, Jack talked about national championship. Do you feel that's something that this program
Oh,
can
absolutely.
achieve?
No, I think, you know, in the last 6 years and where we're at and how we're recruiting and how it's coming together, and you know what our guys are talking about, that's something that's realistic. That wasn't realistic my first 5 years. I know everybody's, well, when do we get, you know, come on, we hadn't been in the NCAA tournament in 10 years. Everybody relax around here. We've been crushed in the Big East. They treated us like a stepchild in the Big East for 5 years. We got to have an identity in the league first before we talk about making deep runs and doing all that. And I think we've done that now, especially these last 6 years, that those big dreams you want to dream, they're worth dreaming now. Like we're and as Jack said, the groundwork is laid, and you know, we got to do a better job of figuring out how to get us there in March. And I think about that every day.
Mike, point of pride, maybe a year from now, you're not only the Notre Dame guy, but you're the dean. You might be the dean of these coaches.
Well, number one on my list is how proud I am and honored I am to be the Notre Dame guy. A close second is being a Big East guy. You know, we have an identity in that league. I love playing through those gyms. I mean, now I've been in the league so long, I walk out and I know which pain in the butt fan is going to be in my face in different arenas, and I almost know what he's going to say. Wear a tie is getting old, quite frankly. To the fans on the road, can you come up with something new? But I'm proud of that, playing in the Garden, and I love, you know, I love our league, and even on our league meetings this year, you kind of were a little bit of the spokesman, and I take a lot of responsibility to kind of, you know, help that.
Mike, how do you view legacy? I don't know if you look internally like that and think legacy. Think what do you start thinking about that now in terms of what you want to achieve and how that will represent what you achieved here over 2 decades? Basically.
You know, when I think about legacy, you know, I just, one thing, I don't think I've ever changed much from being the high school coach at DeMatha High School. You know, I still, that helped me so much, and being a classroom teacher, there's experiences there I draw on and use every day, interacting. I think our guys are really comfortable coming and communicating with me. As I get older in the business, I never want to lose that. I'm really guarded about those relationships, and that takes a lot of energy to build relationships with your guys, to help teach them and coach them and motivate them and get them going the right way. No, I just, legacy-wise, and you know, a teacher and a guy that's helped guys get better, and somebody they can talk to and somebody they can have a beer with. You know, I'm. It's simple. It's not real complicated for me.
Mike, how does having such a long contract and name recognition with the school help you in recruiting?
Yeah, I think that'll be another positive. I think we're in a pretty good rhythm recruiting-wise now, but I think it just further endorses the stability of our program, the momentum. And for, you know, kids out there, because they've seen musical chairs in our business, hey, you know, that next crop we're going after, my plan is I'm gonna be here, and you're coming at a good time.
Any other questions for Jack or Mike? Does anyone on the line have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Ernie, I just want to add
Sure.
one thing.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about the program, and when you evaluate your coach and you're making a decision about the program, who he's assembled as his staff is a really big piece of that. And one of the great things about this program is a really talented staff that was so cohesive and works so well together. And I wanted to acknowledge some of them are standing here and with us today, the assistants and the training staff and strength and conditioning and everybody who contributes to make a program. We're honoring a very successful head coach and a successful basketball program, and there are a lot of people contributing to that, and I want to thank them all.
No, you're right, Jack. I mean, that's we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. I mean, the chemistry we have from Skip Meyer to Tony Rolinski to Pat Holmes to our coaches to Stephanie and Karen, we've got a great rhythm going now, and you know, Jack and I have talked a lot about that. Probably the best rhythm we've been in ever, and we've had a lot of good guys as assistants here, but we're in a heck of a rhythm with what we have coming back and the combination of our staff. That's what has me so excited about the upcoming season. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.